Carnation Evaporated Milk presents the George Burns and Gracie Allen Show.
An hour and 5 minutes. Gracie, you've asked that question 50 times since we left San Francisco last night.
Well, I have to keep asking, because you keep giving me different answers.
Well, the reason I give you different answers...
It gets so bad. When I woke you up at 3:30 this morning, you said...
I know what I said. And I apologize.
George? George?
Yeah?
Are you still upset about what Jack Benny did last night?
Sure I'm upset. We go clear to San Francisco to play a benefit, and he steals my opening joke.
Shh! He's in the next compartment. He'll hear you.
Oh, let him hear me. Why didn't he tell me he was going to use it? I walked right on the stage after him and told the exact same joke.
Did you get a laugh?
Well, of course not.
Well, then what are you mad about? It couldn't have been very good.
It couldn't, huh? Well, listen to this. A funny thing happened to me since I've been working in television. You see, in television, they have 3 cameras, and each camera has a red light. And when the red light is on, it means that that camera is working. So from force of habit, the minute I see a red light, I turn on all my personality. Well, the other night, while driving home, I smiled at a man's taillight all the way into Pomona.
No wonder you're upset. To have that happen to you and to have Jack Benny steal your joke, too.
Yeah, that's why I'm upset. Well, that's that. This time, will you please pack it so I can find it?
Oh, sure.
What's the idea?
Well, if you can't find that, you must be deaf.
I'll pack this myself.
All right.
Oh, that's probably our breakfast. Come in.
I'll have the porter get the luggage.
All right.
Who gets the bacon and eggs?
Right there, I do.
Yes, sir.
Ah, you look happy.
Well, I am. You know, it's always a pleasure to have a celebrity riding on the train.
Oh?
You see, my little daughter collects autographs. And when anybody famous gets on the train, I just don't miss them.
Oh?
Of course, I hate to bother people.
Oh, it's really no bother.
You know, my little girl is really going to be thrilled tonight. I got Mr. Jack Benny's autograph.
Oh? Well, that ought to make me feel better.
Oh, George, I'm on a diet. Do you mind if I ride backwards while I eat? Thank you.
There you are, but what's that got to do with the diet?
Well, when you ride backwards, the train keeps pulling you away from the food and you don't eat too much.
Yeah, well, if I want to lose a few pounds, I'll take a trip to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Come in.
Good morning, Gracie.
Good morning, Jack.
Good morning, George.
Gracie, I just lost my appetite. I don't want to be in the same room with an actor who has no ethics.
Well, you know, Gracie, I'm upset. After all, George and I have been friends for years, and I hate to have him think that I take anything that belongs to him. Pass the ketchup, will you?
Jack, I'm awfully sorry this happened. You and George have known each other since you were young men, and that's been years and years and years.
I know. But I don't know what to do. He won't talk to me.
Oh, Jack, he's the same with me. Don't worry about it. He gets mad at me, but I throw my arms around him and give him a great big hug and kiss, and he's over with.
There must be another way. Gee, I don't know what to do. You know, it's the first argument we've ever had.
Jack, forget it, forget it. Did you have a good time in San Francisco?
Yeah, I wish I could think of something that would make him talk to me.
Well, why don't you buy him a nice present?
Oh, I had a wonderful time in San Francisco. How about it?
Oh, I always have fun in San Francisco.
Say, you were born there, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. But I didn't do that to have fun. That's just one of those things that happens.
Sort of a duty.
Uh-huh. I went to school in San Francisco.
You know, Gracie, I was born and raised in Keating, Illinois.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's lucky I wasn't born there.
Why?
Look how far I'd have to walk to school.
Gracie, you're Irish, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, I just happen to think Dennis Day is Irish, too.
Yeah, I know.
Well, they better come up with another George Bernard Shaw pretty soon, or they're going to be in real trouble.
What does that mean?
Nothing, nothing.
Oh.
Hey. I think we're coming into the Chancellor's Tunnel.
Oh, good. I hope it's on this side so we can see it.
Yes, I hope so.
Come in.
The check for breakfast. Oh, the check. Yes, sir. Oh, the check. Burns at work. You were right. He's gone.
How do you like that, Jack Benny stealing my opening joke? And a great joke. I can't understand it. We've been friends for years. We've been friends all our lives. We started in vaudeville together. Why, I knew Jack when he was really 39. We had quite a fight up in San Francisco last night. I was going to take a swing at him, but I didn't want to hit a man with gray hair. But wait till I catch him without it.
Oh, cameraman, this way, please. No, I think it's about time that I answered his wild accusations. See, Burns claims that I stole his opening joke, and that it was a very good joke. Well, that isn't true. That's the worst joke I ever stole in my life. I think his whole attitude toward me is a slur on an ex-serviceman.
Ex-serviceman. In the First War, he was at the Great Lakes Naval Training Station for exactly 2 days. And the only reason he was there that long is that once they got him into those tight pants, they couldn't get him out. Some sailor. He gets seasick when he opens a box of saltwater taffy.
Oh, so I wasn't a real sailor, eh? Well, I guess this'll prove something. I have other tattoos, too, but I can't show them to you. Lily St. Cyr would be mad at me.
Tattoos. That's the calcomania. Benny hasn't got nerve enough to be tattooed. He's got to take ether when they manicure his nails.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Well, now who's stealing material?
How do you like that guy? guy, oh yeah, has been around for about...
I'll be right down, Blanche.
Oh, there's Blanche Morton.
How's everything up in San Francisco?
Oh, I'm not up in San Francisco. I'm up in the bedroom.
No, honey, I mean, how was your trip?
Oh, that was wonderful. But George and Jack Benny had a terrible fight.
George and Jack Benny after all these years?
Yeah, isn't it awful? And they're not even talking.
Oh, I just can't believe it. Why, I thought they were closer than Damon and Pythias.
Damon and Pythias?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, are they as close as Minneapolis and St. Paul?
No, honey, they're in mythology.
Oh, Blanche, they're in Minnesota.
Yeah, I guess you're right. they
Hello,
are.
Gracie.
Oh, hello.
It's good to be home from San Francisco, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I didn't know you were up there, too. Oh, Blanche nearly forgot.
What?
That's your
Oh,
present.
honey. Oh, great.
Oh, you
You
like it?
shouldn't have gone to all that trouble. Gracie,
Hmm?
this is our city hall. It says souvenir of Los Angeles.
Well, I knew I wouldn't have time to shop in San Francisco, so I got it at the drugstore here before I left.
Thanks very much. I would never have bought one for myself.
Really? Well, I'll put the rest of the stuff up in the bedroom after Harry's trip. I know you two want to be alone.
Blanche, when I woke up this morning, there was $20 missing from my pocket. I'm sure the maid took it.
We don't have a maid.
I know.
Are you insinuating that I took your money? Why, do you think after 12 years of marriage that I would stoop to a thing like that? Well, do you?
Blanche, since you were honest enough to admit it, I'm going to be nice enough to keep it.
George is still upstairs brooding about Jack Benny.
Well, Gracie, tell me, what did they fight about?
Oh, I don't know. It seems that George smiled at somebody's taillight in Pomona, and on top of that, Jack stole it.
Taillight in Pomona?
Come in.
Jack Benny stole a taillight?
Well, it's all sort of confusing. Jack said, hello, Mr. Ackerman, it's nice to see you.
Why would Jack say, hello, Mr. Ackerman, nice to see you? Who's Mr. Ackerman?
He's the head man at CBS.
Yeah?
Mr. Ackerman, I want you to meet Blanche Morton, my neighbor. She's head man next door.
Excuse me, Mr. Ackerman, I didn't see you come in. Well, Gracie, I'm going to run along. I know Mr. Ackerman not wants to be alone with you.
Oh, no, Blanche, we're just old friends. And besides, he's a gentleman, aren't you?
Goodbye, Mrs.
Yeah,
Morton. It was
goodbye.
nice
Thanks,
meeting you.
Gracie.
You're
Bye.
welcome, Blanche. Bye.
Gracie, is George at home?
Oh, well, I'll call him. George, Mr. Ackerman is here to see you.
I'll be right down.
Hi.
Now, Gracie, about this quarrel, we simply can't let this get to the papers. Now, what if the public finds out what George and Jack are saying about each other? Now, we've got to settle this. Are you with me?
Oh, sure.
All right. Now, I've got a plan. But we've got to do this together.
Together?
Yes, together.
Oh, all right. You know, I'm happy to do this, but I don't see how it's going to settle any argument.
I wondered. Maybe they have an old...
Oh, Mr. Ackerman. Hello.
Hello, George. Look, I just can't stand to see my favorite entertainer unhappy.
Oh, well, I'm glad you feel that way, Mr. Ackerman.
Well, I do. So please get on the phone and apologize to Jack Benny.
Me apologize to Jack Benny? Gracie, would you please show Mr. Ackerman our front door?
Oh, you love it, Mr. Ackerman. It's made of mahogany, and it's white on the outside, and it's green on the inside.
Isn't that ridiculous, the way CBS favors Jack Benny? He's got him believing that he's a genius because he plays the violin and tells jokes. But there's one problem. When he plays the violin, he gets laughs, and when he tells jokes, people start to dance.
Just a minute. Oh, Mr. Ackerman. Thank you.
Isn't that pathetic? For that, a cat had to die, and a horse had to give up his tail.
He should talk. The way he sings. The other night at a party, he sang Wheel of Fortune, and everybody was hoping his number was up.
That's not true. The number I made famous was Tiger Girl.
Here,
And
you
the
can go in here and sit down and talk this thing over.
Oh, there's Harry Bonzell and the Mortons.
Now, look, it's up to us to do something about this quarrel between George and Jack Benny.
Look, why do we have to get mixed up in an argument between two actors?
Listen, Mr. Morton, this is not an argument between two actors. One of these men is your next-door neighbor, my best friend. This is an argument between an actor and George Burns.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And if something isn't done about it, it'll end up with a knockdown, drag-out fight between George and Jack.
If ever I saw two men who couldn't hurt one another, they're it.
Well, all right, if you two don't want to help me, I'll just figure out something myself. Here, look at him out there in the patio. He's miserable, a poor little guy. What he needs is comfort. If I was a woman, I'd go out there and put my arms around him.
Yeah, so would I.
Just call me Sam.
Look, Harry, what are we going to do?
Well, here, I have a plan. Sit down and I'll tell you about it. Now, George and Jack were in vaudeville
Oh,
together.
Harry, for heaven's sake.
How can you eat at a time like this? My best friend is out there in trouble, and you sit here stuffing yourself. Here, give me that. You can finish your eating after we've helped George solve his... Hey, Gracie got this custard recipe out of Life magazine.
Mr. Bonzell, what's your plan to help George?
Yes, sir. This is the carnation custard that's featured in this week's issue of Life magazine.
Mr. Bonzell, your plan to help George?
Who?
Your best friend.
Oh, George Burns.
Ah.
How could I forget? How could I forget to show? Did I show you this? I didn't, did I? Look here. Right on page 58 of Life magazine. That's the issue with the picture of Ike Eisenhower's wedding picture here on the front page. And it shows you the difference between custard made with ordinary bottled milk and custard made with carnation evaporated milk. Well, why look at a picture when you can see the real thing? Here it is right here, just the way Gracie made it. Look at that beautiful, rich color. And delicious. You just can't resist custard made with carnation evaporated milk. Why, I tell you what you do. You keep this recipe, Mrs. Morton, and try that yourself.
Well, I guess it's up to me. George needs help.
From time to time and every time blessings come from above. For some of them, to others fame.
Sounds like it's too late.
This is delicious.
Isn't that
Oh,
good?
I'm going to keep this recipe.
Yeah, it's so easy to
Harry,
make.
why don't you go out and talk to George?
This is great. Harry, why don't you go out and talk to him?
Oh, no, not me. This is sensational. Look, Mrs. Morton, you go ahead and do it.
Let him settle his own problems.
Yeah, he got himself into this mess. Let him get himself out of it.
Well, he's got a nerve asking us to fight his battles for him anyway.
You know something? If you ask me, he's nothing but a troublemaker.
That's exactly what he is.
Well, hiya, friends. How do you like that, Jack Benny? He's even turned my own friends and neighbors against me.
I have not.
Then why are they against me? Those people have known me for years.
Well, I guess that answers his question.
That last one was a beauty. He'll probably use it Sunday on the Rochester program.
If I were George Burns, I wouldn't mention who's the star of any program. He's about as much help to Gracie as the Continental is to Errol Flynn. Answer that, my little straight man.
I did years ago when Bob Hope first said it. And furthermore, let me tell you something.
Oh, George!
Oh, George, don't look now. But the reason that you're still not selling neckties is calling you.
Thanks. Oh, Gracie, I see you picked up our television script.
Yes, and I stopped off at Mary Benny's house, and she said that she's going to have a talk with Jack, and when he comes over, and then he's coming over here. And when he does, I want you to be nice to him.
He stole my joke. Why should I be nice to him?
Why? George Burns, who gave you your start in show business?
Gus Edwards.
Well, who gave us our first break in radio?
Eddie Cantor.
Well, who introduced us to each other?
Georgie Jessel.
Well, when you were sick back in New York, who took care of you?
My mother.
Well, for your mother's sake, when Jack comes over, be nice to him.
Well, I guess you're right. If he's coming over, I will be nice to him. It's
Oh,
silly to fight about one joke.
Yeah, you've been friends too long.
Sure.
Like I was saying to Mary, why, George and Jack are closer than Minneapolis and Pythias. And she...
Minneapolis and Pythias?
Damon and St. Paul?
Oh, I get the association. Well, what did Mary Benny say?
Well, she said when Jack got home from the train this morning, he was so upset he couldn't eat his breakfast. And I said, I know, it was all he could do to eat George's.
Yes, he was so upset he couldn't pay the bill. Hey, what do you think of our script?
I noticed I'm doing Cleopatra on our television show.
Well, not really. You're doing a takeoff on Cleopatra.
Oh, no, not me. From the pictures I've seen of her, she's taken off all she can.
No, look, Gracie, you see, I'm... Oh, that must be Jack Benny.
Now, you be nice to him.
I'll be nice to him. I'll be nice to him.
Come in.
George!
Jack!
Gracie!
Jack! George! Oh, this is fun. Let's do it again. Jack!
Okay, break it up. The boat's pulling out.
Well, George, I came over to apologize.
Oh, Jack, I really owe you an apology.
No, it was all my fault. Hey, Gracie, I brought you something.
Oh, Jack!
Jack, you shouldn't have done that.
Yes, I should have,
Make
after
me
the way.
feel like a heel.
No, I should have.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Do you really like them?
Oh,
Gracie,
Jack.
what did he bring us?
A laundry.
George, the handkerchiefs are on me this time.
Oh, Jack, you shouldn't have.
Oh, just once.
Well, I'm going to take these back and put them away and get you boys some refreshments.
Sit down, Jack.
Thank you.
You know, Jack, I feel kind of silly. Making a big deal out of one tired little joke.
Well, a joke is a joke, and after all, I shouldn't have taken it away
Oh,
from you.
Jack, you can take anything I've got. We're friends.
Well, I know we're friends. That's why I shouldn't have done it. And George, I like to have you test my friendship. I mean, I hate anything happening like that. I mean, ask me a favor. Ask me anything.
Well, Jack, I don't have to test your friendship.
Yes, you do. I mean, particularly after what happened. I
Well-
mean, just ask me for anything. I want to show you how you're
Okay, lend me $100.
Well, $100 isn't enough. I'll lend you more than that. I'll show George. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's $500. $500. We're friends.
Well, Jack, you tested my friendship, and thanks, but here, I don't need it.
Yeah. 1, 2, 5. That's right. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you very
Jack.
much. Thank you.
Ain't it?
I thought it would be nice if you drank a toast to your friendship.
That's a good idea.
A wonderful idea.
Here, Gracie.
Thank you.
Jack, to you.
George, to you.
And may your friendship never come between you again.
George and Gracie and Jack will be back in just a moment. In the meantime, here is the reason Gracie's custard disappeared so quickly a little earlier. You'll find it on page 58 of the issue of Life magazine with Ike Eisenhower's wedding picture on the cover. And it'll show you the difference between custard made with ordinary milk and custard made with carnation evaporated milk. Now, actually, as you see on the screen, carnation custard calls for eggs, salt, sugar, vanilla, ingredients that you use in making any custard. As a matter of fact, you even bake carnation custard in the same way. But oh, what a difference. There we are. You get a richer golden brown color, a smoother, creamier texture, and a far more delicious flavor. What makes it all possible? Well, here is the secret right here. Where ordinarily you would use 1/2 carnation evaporated milk and 1/2 water, this recipe calls for 2/3 carnation evaporated milk, and isn't that rich? And 1/3 water. There we are. And there is the secret of the most delicious custard you ever made. It's another carnation cooking miracle. Now, the reason carnation performs these miracles is that carnation is more than double rich in butter fat and milk solids. That means extra richness in any cooking that calls for milk. So you try this carnation custard tomorrow. Remember, too, that carnation is heat refined, gives you better blending of your other ingredients, and improves their flavor. So you must try this custard tomorrow and use carnation in your cooking every day. You'll appreciate the difference in richness and in flavor. And now here's Carnation's own contented couple, George and Gracie. And thanks to Lucky Strike, our guest tonight, Jack Benny.
Thank you very much. Gracie and I will be back again 2 weeks from tonight. And Jack, I want to thank you for being on our show.
Well, George, it was my pleasure.
What did you say, George?
Jack, I want to thank you for being on our show.
It was my pleasure.
What did you say, George?
How about saying good night?
Oh, good night.
Good night, Gracie.
Appearing on tonight's show were Theodore Von Els as Mr. Ackerman and Bob Johnson as the waiter. Jack Benny appeared through the courtesy of Lucky Strike, product of the American Tobacco Company, America's leading manufacturer of cigarettes. Next week, be sure to see Star of the Family, the Peter Lindhays and Mary Healy show on most of these same stations. Now, this is Harry Von Zell saying good night for Carnation. This is the CBS Television Network.